Test 1, 2.
Check, baby. 1, 2, 3.
Stop, dude.
Joy
To the world.
Hey, buddy.
Hi.
It's wintertime.
Yes, it is.
We are entering second winter. Almost winter, first winter, second winter, almost winter again. Second winter.
Next week is going to be a bear.
I heard.
I don't know if you looked at what the temperature.
I'm going to be in New York.
Like. Yeah, great.
And it's going to be cold as hell. Minus wind chill. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how the weather has made our kids soft.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
All right, you're gonna piss the boomers off.
I don't care. I don't care. They need to hear this.
Okay.
So first of all, I saw something. I don't know if it was on your post or someone else's posts with regards to Gen X and today's kids and with a tornado drill. So the thing said high wind alert, school canceled. And then below it said Gen Xers, tornado alert. Go to the hallway, put a book over your head.
You're good. You're good.
So why have standards changed since when we were kids versus now? Is it the parents baby them?
No, liabilities.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
nobody wants to be responsible for something bad happening, and then it was because of the call they made. So they're trying to like push the liability to somebody else.
Okay. So the tornado drills, when we were young, were literally out into the hall. Everyone crouches down. I think now if there's even a chance of a tornado or bad weather, they don't even let you go to school.
No, they wouldn't. No.
Did you have a lot of school closings when you were a kid? Do you remember
we
that
look forward to
snow days?
Like, oh yeah, but
it was rare.
I
Once in a while.
I feel like winters were way worse when I was a kid.
Yeah.
When it dumped on us, you know, you could take the snowmobiles out and build an igloo and whatever. And now it's like
now stay there for weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
So now the snow we have is kind of like, eh.
Right.
And I think any sign of it, they cancel the schools.
For sure.
So the wind chill next week will cancel the schools. Correct?
Oh yeah, 2 days they'll have off.
When is that coming?
I think it's Tuesday, Wednesday. I think Monday probably is going to be not great, but it's MLK Day anyhow.
Oh, they're off school anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, that stinks.
That's the part that pisses me off is that we already have a deficiency in education and we're inventing new ways of not going to school, which then exacerbates the problem that I feel we already have. So I think they should do more about more education, like
going to the summer months.
Oh, heck yeah. That you should have like a minimum that you have to get.
This. Okay.
Right. And just keep extending the year until you get the required hours for the education the taxpayers are paying for.
Let me ask you this. If a kid could knock it out in a short amount of time, would you agree with that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, let's say it's 100 hours. You have to have 100 hours before you can go from second grade to third grade. And then you have the entire year to knock out the 100 hours. Could you knock out the 100 hours in 10 months?
Hell
and
yeah.
then have 2 off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Give someone the opportunity who's bored out of their stinking mind that they have to go at the pace of the slowest kid in the class.
So they could go speed.
And then you got these geniuses who are like, screw this education thing. I'm going to do something else. Yeah, we lose the ones we want to build on. And we cater to the ones that we don't.
Okay. Well, propose it. What do you think? What do we have to do? Do we have to get
public education system? We got to take a wrecking ball to it, and we have to commercialize better than we do. So I wanted to open a school maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Hard Knocks.
Yeah, the Hard Knocks school. And I started looking into like the standards and what you get with it. And private schools are put at a huge disadvantage to public, right? And so let's just say that
why? Because of the tuition.
Well,
or just
public is very adverse to the competition because if you invent a superior school and can do it better, more efficient, then you remove the public side of education, and they need it. They, let's just say public school gets $12,000 per pupil, and they can have classrooms of 25, right? So they know how many teachers they got to hire, and they get that money. Well, when I was looking into it,
you're saying that money from the government.
From the government
per kid. Okay.
I would get about half of what public schools. So now I'm like, okay, disadvantage already because public school's still going to get their portion, even though if the kid's not going there. And number two, the ratios of teachers per educator was 11 rather than 25. So not only would I have less money to pay my teachers with, I would also have to hire more teachers because my ratios were different. So they're put at a disadvantage. They have to hire somebody willing to make, $30,000 a year, where the public school
shitload of kids in classes.
So they've killed that sector.
Okay. Were you private or public school?
I was public.
Public. So my kids are at Mooney. One is at Mooney now, which is considered private.
Yeah.
Only a couple around here: Ursuline, Mooney, JFK. Right. I don't think Kennedy Christian. What's that called? Or not Kennedy Christian. It's the old Bancroft. We used to play basketball. Eagles Academy. I don't know. I don't know if it's public or not. Can't think of that. All right. So kids are a little bit softer today.
And stupider.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So wasn't there a rhyme? Boys are smarter, something about blah, and girls are stupider because they're from Jupiter.
Yeah, girls.
Girls are stupider. Go ahead. Why are we stupider? Is it the education, or is it just the mentality of the kid?
Today's society requires sophistication, and the public school curriculum has not adapted to what you're going to see in the real world.
Okay.
All right. So now our tech schools, our STEM schools, they're catching up. They're doing a really good job of what kids should be exposed to. But think of the crap that you are going to learn in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade that has no applicable, value except for then going to college. So it's a business system where the schools dump off to the colleges.
We talked about this before.
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
Well, you made a good post the other day, and it made a lot of sense. You're in 50 some years, you still haven't found a use for that. Was it a math skill or something?
Yeah.
You posted, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Which is true. I'm a finger counter. We know that. We've already established that. But there are a lot of things that I did probably learn that I don't need. I think we need to go back to the basics. They need public speaking courses they need communication courses. They need human decency courses. You need math, you need English, you need history and all that bullshit, but you need practical finance class. I think a kid should know when they get that allowance or they make that money raking the yard or cutting the grass, you just made $10. Let's take 8 of it and invest it. Let's take 2 of it. Let's take 1 of it and buy a candy bar. F it, go ahead. And let's take 1 of it and donate it.
All right. So what grade did you learn about investing in the stock market, balancing?
0.
Okay.
0. Yeah.
Have you ever used that? Never need that skill in your adult life?
Right. We should bring that to the curriculum.
Name a class that you took that you've never used, and you probably took way more hours than you should have. Now,
spelling. I'm a horrible
as far as like what a standard level of understanding with things, right? If I were to say, okay, well, everybody at least needs to know this in order to like go to the 5th grade, and you have this
count to 20.
Exactly.
Know your ABCs.
So you can be productive.
Okay.
But past 5th grade, now you're starting to work on your specialization, what you're interested in, what you're digging, what your brain's wired for.
Okay.
That's where they should direct all of their energy into building up the skill set that has interest.
More soft skills to me.
Yeah.
Like a company hires me to do soft skills training. It's leadership, it's team building, it's communication skills. It's the things that we need to get you through life sometimes more. And I don't know. I know some schools are starting public speaking classes. St. Charles has one. The teacher brings me in every year to do a little speech for the kids, teach them about public speaking. So, but that's 8th grade. You're already...
If you go out and just survey adults on where they're lacking and what they wish they would have learned, and then build curriculum around them.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
let's
absolutely.
take a poll.
For sure.
We should take a poll.
Let's do it. Let's take a poll.
Let's take a poll. All right, let's talk about red dye number 3.
Yes.
Not to be confused with the blue dye number 4.
Yeah. Or orange dye number 8.
Right. I don't even understand. I know they're banning it. It's happening.
Yeah.
So now that will affect just the culinary industry, or is it going to affect everything?
Well, you're going to see an uprooting in all of agriculture, all of food production, manufacturing, the whole thing. This is going to be
because of that red dye number 3.
No, not just that. This is in line. This is an easy one. They're going to take chemicals that are banned around the world that we just haven't banned yet. The chemicals they're putting in, the preservatives, the artificial stuff. And they're just going to root that stuff out because it doesn't really mess with a whole lot. The one thing that it does mess with is if you have a product on a shelf that doesn't look as good as another product, then you're putting that product at a disadvantage. So if you go to the meat counter and not everything is like brilliant red, if you've got some stuff that looks a little weirder than whatever, you're less likely to buy that product.
So those preservatives are pumping that up to make it
presentable.
Presentable.
Yeah. But if it applies to everyone, right, then you got to work on something else other than the display. You ever watch those demonstrations where they take, let's just say McDonald's is doing a Big Mac and they're making the model of the Big Mac that they're going to put in a commercial. Okay. So what they do,
it looks so good. Okay.
And they use all kinds of stuff. Like they'll use glues and polishes.
Oh shit! Make it shiny. Make it
absolutely presentable. They're not going to show you what a Big Mac actually looks like when you order it, right? They're going to give you a different version because we're just conditioned.
The best version.
Exactly.
So the red dye number 3.
Yeah.
It's not a flavoring, correct?
It's a coloring.
It's just a coloring.
Just a color.
So are you telling me there's not going to be red, no more red starbursts? Is it like that
Well,
kind of shit?
they're going
Or is
to
it
be
just
they're going to be
literally-
red starbursts, but it's going to have to be done. They're going to have to achieve the color and the presentation differently.
Why is it bad? I didn't read enough into the whole red dye 3 pandemic that's happening right now.
Well, I have
Is
the
it
Google.
bad? Is it cancerous?
It's bad. Yeah, it's bad. And I got the Google box.
Okay,
here.
let's see. Red dye
Number 3.
number 3. Oh, no more red donuts. How about pink?
Well, you shouldn't be eating donuts anyway, buddy.
Joe,
Sorry.
I
True.
ate a Reese cup with fudge in it.
Dude.
It was
Don't
so
tell me-
good.
Don't tell me.
I'm going to bring you one.
No.
And one with caramel. And I ate almonds.
All right.
Joy.
I don't know if this is it, but
And some Dove chocolate with
2001
almonds.
California Environmental Health Hazard Assessment completed most rigorous test to date. Evidence linking synthetic food dyes to neurobehavioral problems in some kids.
Oh, okay. I don't understand how they can pinpoint it to that. Can't it just be something in
Well, we started off talking about like the changes in kids and why they're so soft and why they're getting
Okay.
stupider.
right?
And then we look at what we're feeding them every day of the week, right? And then
there's a correlation.
maybe one of
Maybe.
500 chemicals that we're pumping into them is causing some general development problems.
Okay.
Maybe the autism, maybe all of this is connected with all of the chemicals that we're pumping into kids.
It could be. I truly believe we talked about this before. When I was young, I know there were autistic children, but I don't believe there was many. As in my classroom, there was maybe one person.
So
who was
what?
just a little
Why?
bit-
Why is it when you suggest that we're causing autism by what we're pumping into kids that there's so many people will say that's not the case? This is just a natural phenomenon. Why is there so much
Why are they so
pushback?
hesitant? to
Yeah, why
buy
is there so
into
much
it?
pushback against that one?
That's a good. Maybe it's them being comfortable with what is and what's known, and the fact that this thing that they've always known and cherished could really be hurting them is something maybe a lot of people have a hard time accepting. It's like,
But as a reasonable person, if you were
well,
doing
people aren't
damage
reasonable.
to
That's
people,
I agree.
right?
A,
You would
a
not want to
normal
do that anymore.
rationalization would be this is a correlation of it. This is happening more because of this. It's like even with the atmosphere and the rain and the pollutants and the green and the what's the word? Global warming.
Global warming, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why we don't buy into it or believe it. I think if you can show proof, I think people need proof more nowadays. I don't think they believe. If you showed someone a study, these people were studied, they had these chemicals in them at birth. Now they're 18, they have this problem, this problem, this problem. These people, same people, were given no chemicals, they have zero problems. Then you could almost say, okay, this is a direct relation to this. Oh God, man down. I don't think though that people trust someone else's judgment or opinion, right? As much as I don't want to say we should trust them, but I don't know.
But even some of those reasonable things, those are all discussions that are worth happening. So is global warming happening? So let me walk you through sort of the template of
It's
the
almost
global
like the
warming
Bigfoot
debate.
thing.
So you have the first part. We're doing stuff like you go camping and you leave trash behind you. Okay, so far I'm going to agree with you that people should do their best to make the least amount of impact possible. That's all really reasonable, right?
Like the footprint, you mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. So if we're doing stuff, be very clean, whatever. But there's a point in that conversation that it all goes to a penalty, like an ambush penalty, the thing that they want to say, the thing that they want to control about you and do.
Okay.
And that's where they lose me at that deal, right?
Okay.
So if I don't like your couch,
They're putting
I don't like your couch. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Your couch is ugly color and you don't get rid of your couch. And I'm like, might be causing a fire hazard. It's made of materials that could go up and they really want to say, let's get rid of the couch, but they're just building into the thing and using an excuse to get rid of that freaking couch.
To make me want to get rid of the couch.
Yeah. So if they don't like human beings, if they don't like capitalists, if they don't like the industrialists, and that's what they really want to go after, they're just scheming to come up with an excuse big enough to destroy the thing that they don't like. And that's why I think a lot of these reasonable conversations turn into not reasonable conversations because it's just an excuse to create another victim. We got deep quick here, man.
Whoa, dude, that was like, but it's a good point. You made another good point the other day that made me laugh. It wasn't even a good point. It was something funny that reminded me of my
You're
childhood.
banned from coffee, by the way.
No,
One spill,
This
you're
is-
done.
I know. This is ridiculous.
Was your sip good, by the way?
Yeah, I had a couple. It was good. What are you drinking? Dunkin' ice?
Dunkin' iced coffee.
No sugar. We
No
know
sugar.
that. Just iced coffee.
Just black
No,
iced
just
coffee.
black. Okay, all right. You like it. Wait, are we done with this discussion?
No, you were about to say something before.
Yeah, but
I
it had
interrupted.
nothing to do with this discussion, though. That's why before I jumped to somewhere else, because
No, I'm good with
We're
this.
good with this.
We
Okay.
got red dye out of the way.
red dye. It's a wild thing, and that's happening sooner than later.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what really is affected with regards to it being banished. How it's really going to change.
You're not going to notice.
That's what I'm saying.
It's really not.
That's how I feel, and I don't want to get political, but that's how sometimes I feel with political parties. I mean, you're going to feel some change with this group versus this group, but in general, you're living your life day to day. There's not a huge thing for the majority of people. Some people, like a business person, might be affected more with this administration, based on the taxes and so on. So there are big things, but I think people who are bitching and moaning about this administration versus this administration won't even see or realize any effect.
Yeah, but there
Once
was someone who woke up this morning and now they're so outraged by they won't have access to their red dye anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe it affects people to that level, but it does.
Right. Yeah, let it go. All right. I 100% know in Lynn Park in Brownlee Woods, where I grew up, there are at least 3 Playboys, 1 hustler,
Okay.
couple packs of cigarettes, and maybe some beer.
How do you know they're there? Like,
They have to be because we hid them so
okay,
good.
all right.
So I read your post about
Yeah, my Playboy
hiding
stash.
stuff when you
Yeah.
were. So when we were kids, we hid shit. I
Yeah.
mean, this is amazing. This is true. I remember walking down the street one day with my buddy, and we found literally a Playboy on the side of the road. I'm like, this is like pay dirt. So immediately we're in the woods. We hide it in Lynn Park, and then if it rains, you're like, oh man, everything's getting wet. But we hit a few that were really, really good, and I couldn't tell you where they were, but I felt like if we dug them up, they'd still be there.
Every kid has a spot in the woods that you were able to hide stuff and do your rebellious stuff.
Right. This generation will never know that.
No, because they get Playboy
Instant
delivered
access.
to them.
Right. It's right on their phone if they
That's
want.
it. They don't have to hide a Playboy. Like
I
we
mean,
had it
that
rough,
was-
man.
We had to hide shit in the woods and pray it didn't rain.
Yeah, and we had to take usually we couldn't buy it ourselves, so it was a secondhand
no.
Playboy.
Right.
Those are the grossest.
Right. It was ridiculous. Once in a while, you'd get something other than Playboy, which would really shock you because I'm like, whoa, these people are really showing a lot of shit. Like Playboy just showed, like, then you get the hustler. It's like,
Whole nother level.
I
Like,
was like, whoa. But that made me laugh when you said that. Didn't you say a Zippo lighter too? Probably a
oh,
Zippo
that
lighter.
I missed that Zippo.
The
That
Zippo?
Zippo. Well,
You like
you know, we would always steal cigarettes from our parents, and we'd
Okay.
put them in a tin can that was with our Playboys.
Okay.
And that Zippo lighter stayed with it because you couldn't take the Zippo home too, right?
Correct.
And so like we'd get to our Playboy spot. We'd light a little campfire. We'd light our cigarettes off of the campfire. And again, like I don't remember the moment where I just never stopped going back to that stash. So it's just there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're right. It's not like one day you said, I'm going to clean it out and put it somewhere
That's
else.
it. I've aged out of this.
That's
No more
why
Playboy.
I feel there's still stuff hidden
Heck yeah.
all over the place by numerous people like us.
Yeah. Now, did your woods or wherever you hung out,
Yeah. Lynn
did they
Park.
always have like a cult that would do things back? Like,
Oh yeah. Like a this would be spray painted over here with the devil horn kind of thing, or any kind of call.
yeah, every woods had a story about there's danger in there,
okay.
about
Right,
secret
right.
meetings and
Right.
and
Lynn
whatever.
Park. No, Lynn Park didn't have that much. In fact, the cool thing about Lynn Park, there's a lot of people probably listening, like that I grew up with, the Vecchiones, the Markoviches. We would all go down there. We played ringers, we played basketball, we played baseball. Bob Murphy, Tim Bednar, all these guys I grew up with. That was our place to play. So I never was afraid because sometimes when you were a kid and you go to the park, you'd either be the older group over here.
Mhm.
So I was friends with them because a lot of my brother's friends were part of those groups. So I never, ever had a fear. We used to play war down there. We'd go to Lynn Park and dress up in all our crazy shit and run around, play kind of like capture the flag games. And it was just a good time. It was a good park for numerous reasons. But
And you attribute it to if the Playboy didn't make you go out there, you would have never had the fun that you did in the woods.
Right.
So I give credit to Playboy for doing a lot for our youth.
Hugh Hefner, thank you. May you rest in peace.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, even forts. I don't think kids nowadays understand the forts. I am a grown adult, and someday I want a tree house. Someday I'm going to have a tree house
For
just to hang out in. just to dig around it, not to live in.
It was
But
an
I'm talking-
escape when you were a kid. What are you escaping from? You could just build the fort in your living room. Your living room is a fort.
It is a treehouse now.
Yeah.
I know, but I want a separate entity to go to and just hang out. I want a treehouse, and I want it deluxe. Like I want it badass. Like not like I'm not gonna build it. I'm gonna have professional people come in and build it someday. Yeah, it's gonna happen. So, but forts, kids don't build them in the woods. You had a fort, right?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, we had a fort with anything we could find. That's how we built a fort. One kid's dad had plywood on the side of the garage. We're like, okay, we'll take 5 sheets of that plywood. We'll take this. I remember being with my one buddy, Mark Hildebrand, and we had a fort in the woods, and it was in the woods in a neighborhood off of Glenwood, off one of those green garden streets. But there's the Mill Creek part of the areas right there. And we ran an extension cord. It must have been 500 yards. We a bunch of them. We had power because one kid lived over here, and the woods were way back. We literally had power in one of our forts, which was really cool if you could turn on a light in a fort. But I miss the fort days. I don't think the kids nowadays will ever find that joy.
They won't.
But they have other joys that we probably didn't have. So what we miss,
Not as enjoyable. Though.
I
It
feel
can't
it's
be.
not. I agree. I agree. The camaraderie, the friendship, the bond, the just going to out in the woods and being in a fort. And just, I don't know.
Half the fun was building it and
Right,
accumulating the parts for it and whatever.
Seeing what you
If
could
I
do.
just gave you a plastic Little Tykes fort, like it wouldn't be.
I agree. I agree. I used to make box forts with all the old boxes and
Mhm.
shit. I put them in my house, put lights in there.
I told you we were going to sound just like boomers during this show. All we've done is complain
God, I
about how it used
know.
to be, right?
It was
I remember
so
when food was never had no chemicals.
Dude, I mean, I think every generation probably thinks their generation was a cool one to be in.
Yeah.
I guarantee if we had some
for
folks who were,
What's
you
the
know-
worst generation of all the generations that have come before you? Which one do you think is at the biggest disadvantage and are just they're done? They're
the
smoked.
no, not the ones right now. The ones before. Is that the?
Okay, you got beta, you got alpha,
Yeah,
You
I
got
hate those
Z,
names. I cannot
you
stand
got X,
alpha.
millennial.
No one should be named alpha. I told you this before because it makes them feel inferior. You are not alpha, even though you're gonna get the title. I think the Z's.
Gen Z,
Do I think that? Is that
Do
the
you
one?
think
No,
they're-
no. Who's in the workforce right now that's young? 20.
millennial.
Those are the ones.
They're effed.
Yes, I feel that. I don't know why. I don't know a ton of them, but I've talked to numerous business owners and people who have had that type of individual who seems to be the entitled, lazier individual.
Okay.
And I think
I'll
it's,
go with
I don't know if it's the way they were raised or what it was, but there was a shift. Something went wacky, and that generation to me right now is the most effed with regards to mentality, work ethic, and all that stuff. And I could be now. Don't get me wrong. There are kids out there who bust ass. You could be a what is it called again? Z J no.
Gen Z.
No, millennial. We're talking about.
Oh yeah.
There can be a millennial listening who's like, "You're an asshole, Blasko." And I agree. You're right. There are some who break the mold, if you will, but as a whole, collectively, I think that's the generation that just. I think they feel a little entitled.
Well,
And I
let's
only
add-
know that because I talk to business owners who have told me that.
Let's give.
They're the ones bringing the parents to the interview. That's the generation.
That's millennial.
That's,
Yeah.
that's it.
All right, so let's add some context to it.
Okay.
All right, let's do a hypothetical that if they're zombie apocalypse,
Okay.
which generation are the survivors and which ones are dead on day one?
Oh, well, I think the millennials are dead on day one.
Okay,
Only
millennials
because
are
they're
dead.
expecting someone else to do it for them.
Okay,
I think,
they will protest the zombies
Right.
all to hell.
yes. I think we're Gen Z. No? What am I? No, I'm X. I'm X. You're
Okay.
X. Are you X?
I'm X. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Generation X. I was born in 72, so I'm X. I think, how far back we going?
You can go back as many
Well, the
generations.
silent
Boomers,
No, the
greatest generation.
greatest generation would F those zombies up. Those are the, to me, even the 50s. That's
But
not
they're
the greatest
old now,
generation.
so-
They're old now. So,
So
yeah.
they may have succumbed to their age
Right.
rather than their willingness to fight the zombies. You got to
Yeah.
pick sides, man. If you're picking out
Right.
who's got your six,
I'm going to. I think the Gen Xers. Yeah, I'm finding one of those. Here's why. I find just from the friends I know and have, they are more prone to have guns and ammunition than other generations. That makes sense.
absolutely. Growing up, we watched the movies that were all about war
Right,
and the
right,
zombie
right.
apocalypse. So,
now
we're
when
ready.
we got
for
older,
it.
like
we
my
probably
brother has just numerous vaults and safes and things, and I have friends who have vaults and safes with just ammunition and guns and things of that nature that you never know when you might need it. So I'd come to your house. We already talked about this. If there's an
Oh,
apocalypse,
we're ready. We're like,
Don't you have a place where we can go down and live in the basement?
we're ready.
Okay,
Look, dude, half of the mystery is the protection. So, all right, different hypothetical. We all go into the simulation where we don't need our bodies anymore, and those who will prosper have the best connection to what artificial intelligence in the simulation will give you. Which generation is your winner?
Z.
Z wins?
Yeah, Alpha and Beta are too young still. I think Z's been acclimated the most with that kind of technology mindset. What do you think?
They'd be most open to it, for sure.
I think so.
What about who's dead on day one?
Again, if you're a millennial, I apologize, but
they're dead.
Like, that generation, I don't understand what happened.
So any friction, I'm going to say millennials are dead on day one.
That is day one. It's a millennial.
He has it out for millennials. What can I say?
I know, and listen. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. You know, I just have seen it and have heard it. I only like to speak from experience. I mean, sometimes you'll speak on opinion, stuff we don't know, but we'll say. But this for certain, I know just from talking to owners of businesses who've had that generation in, and just how poor their work ethic is. Again, not everyone, not classifying everyone, but there's the entitlement, I want more money for less. And I talk to a lot of business people who have run into that with that generation. So I could not physically, whatever, back up my opinion. I always say if you have an opinion, fine, but you better be able to justify and validate it. The problem with people who have an opinion, they can't back it up. That's what's bullshit. If you go to a restaurant and say, oh, that restaurant sucked. Why? I don't know. It just sucked. I don't buy it. You got to validate and justify it. Okay, it sucked because the menu was bad. It smelled horrible and my eggplant was bad. Okay. All right. Now you got a little validation as to why it sucks. But people who just spew out stuff, especially the haters and the trolls online, that's dumb or this, and they can't justify and validate why, that's what drives me nuts.
But they're trolling you on purpose. They're not looking to make an academic exchange with you, right?
That's true.
They just want you mad, right? And you're getting mad. So you are doing exactly what they want.
I don't have a lot of trolls.
I think you hate the millennials because they're owning
no, I don't hate
so
them.
many different ways.
Take that back. Take that. Some of them might be hiring me. But wait, because why? Why do I not like them so much? Because of what?
Because they're owning you.
They're owning you.
They want you to be mad, and you are mad. So you are signing on the dotted line for exactly what they want.
I don't like the alpha. We talked about that. I don't like the alpha title. I feel it's like in driver's ed. If you got 100%, you left thinking you're unstoppable. See, when I was a kid, they never gave 100% for the driving portion of a thing. I got a 95 on my drive. I got 100 on maneuverability. So they'd give 100. But I even said to the guy, 95, what did I do wrong? And literally, he goes, nothing. He goes, but I can't give you 100 because we don't want any 16-year-old to leave here thinking they're perfect. Mm-hmm. Well, my daughter did her test and she's like, I got 100 on driving. I go, why? Thank goodness she's not the type of person who thinks she's great and everything's perfect. But I was shocked that they were giving hundreds on driving to 16-year-old kids because then they walk away thinking, I got 100. I'm good. I know what I'm doing. Next thing you know, crash. So I don't know.
Well, let me push on that.
Yeah.
So what happens if there's a slacker, but now he's in the alpha groups, now has to live up to the title that you just gave him, and now you just converted him.
Correct. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he would have been a Zeta.
All right. Okay. Well, that's a good point. All right. I give credit to that. So maybe there are pros to it.
Maybe it'll be the alpha because we told him.
Because we told him. Okay.
Do you care? I mean, do you want a bunch of alphas who aren't really alphas acting like alphas?
Yeah, that's another good point. I don't think I want that. I want someone to genuinely have it within them, but it can be taught. But if you get taught and you become to the point where you're too cocky and boasting and bragging, I don't want that. Because you can be an alpha and be a cool dude. Or you can be an alpha and be an asshole. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just like you could be a good leader in a company and be a CEO that's great and be a CEO that's a jerk off. So it's not so much even about the title. It's about your character and your values and your morals and your ethics and how you treat people. Jojo.
Did you see the Starship launch yesterday?
I did not. Tell me about it. This is your boy Musk.
For everyone listening, like I'm one of the first nominees to go to Mars on this Starship, and they've tested a bunch of them, and a bunch of them have not gone great. Like a bunch of them blew up, and yesterday's blew up.
Where?
Hold on.
Okay, all right.
So we had a launch. So you have a booster, and then you have the main place where all the people
would be sitting.
Right?
Okay.
And so they're trying now to be able to catch the boosters on these chopsticks, right? So there's this big tower, a bunch of chopsticks, the thing lands, it catches them midair. And so they can reuse these boosters so they don't get destroyed.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
And so they're working on the catchability.
Destroyed by falling to the earth and just.
Yeah, because they can't use them anymore.
Okay.
All right. And they're pretty expensive, I
gather.
So anyway, so they they caught one, and then they caught this one too. So everything was cool, but there was a fuel leak that didn't have enough venting. And so they lost communication like 8 minutes into it. And then this stream of different color material streaking across the sky over the ocean. And that would have been me and my luggage going across. And so I'm not quite ready to jump on that ship yet. But here's the thing. Right now we're in a Mars window. So if you were going to go to Mars, this is the time that you would do it. You don't get another window for another 2 years. So they're going to.
Why? Just weather? Or
so just the elliptical orbit of Mars,
the pool,
they line up differently.
Okay.
And so like one point they're like 5 years away. It would take you 5 years to get there. But when it moves to you, it's a 7-month journey.
Oh shit. Okay.
So they have to wait until that window opens up. So now there is a sprint for the next 2 years for this ship to be ready for me to go there, or they got to wait another 2 years. I know they're not going to be willing to do it. So they're putting it in hyperdrive on a program where the thing just blew up yesterday. Makes me a little leery about being one of the first contestants.
These are all unmanned, obviously now, right?
These are all just unmanned.
So I still think we have to talk about you doing that.
Yes.
Because we know it's one-way trip.
Yes.
Okay.
You keep reminding me as if that's going to be a deal breaker.
I know. I don't understand. I understand. All right, we'll talk about this another time. We got 2 years
to do. There are things to do over there. They need me on Mars.
I know.
I don't really want to come back.
I know.
When there's only a couple hundred people that were hand selected for their abilities, I want to go amongst them.
I get it. I just, who's going to do the podcast with me?
Remote session. I think the communication between the two are like 12 minutes. So I'll ask you a question, and then 12 minutes later, you'll respond to it, and EPJ will edit it together.
All right. Well, at least we got 2 years together. Peace.